Yo, Big James, bust that shit down, my boy. This is Silent Hill 2, the critically acclaimed psychological horror game released on September 25th, 2001, baby. Yes, James Sunderland, the type of guy that will stick his hand in a toilet with zero hesitation and no effort to even wipe his hand on his pants or anything. Maybe even give it a little sniff later. Silent Hill 2 is a masterpiece, and I would like to share that with the world. So let's buckle up, grab our letters from our dead wife, and maybe even the keys we found in the toilet, and take a trip to a little town called Silent Hill.
Hey guys, I'm in
Silent Hill.
just hanging out.
I respect the absolute shit out of the development team for Silent Hill, also known as Team Silent, because despite of all the odds stacked against them, they prevailed and still got the shit end of the stick. Fuck Konami. Instead of trying to make Silent Hill 2 a bigger game and adding more mechanics and whatnot, Team Silent chose to hone in on the environmental and story aspects to create a more immersive and overall better game. Silent Hill 2 has such a dreamy and nightmarish feel to it. Silent Hill 2 is a completely unique story in which you don't need any prior knowledge to understand. It is an entirely separate entity from Silent Hill 1. And Silent Hill doesn't focus on using a butt ton of jump scares to get your jimmies rustled. It instead focuses on atmosphere building, sound design, and music. And let me tell you, the soundtrack is one of the best that gaming has to offer. The music composer, Akira Yamaoka, has said that he didn't want the tunes to entirely rely on a melody. And let's just say, he created a perfect original soundtrack for each setting. I've never seen a game that gets the music done this right. It's all so perfectly in place. He also created all of the sound effects, and to avoid repetition, he created hundreds of sounds of footsteps for the characters. Everyone on Team Silent are fucking maniacs. They are fucking crazy, dude. Now, let's take a moment to talk about our man, Takayoshi Sato. This man carried Team Silent, and his back is still breaking from the amount of work this motherfucker did. He is the character designer, lead animator, and also played a pivotal role in creating the story for Silent Hill. This man is nuts. He animated all of the cutscenes in Silent Hill 1 all by himself, and they still look incredibly impressive to this day. This dude lived at his desk for 2.5 years and used 150 computers to render his animations when the rest of the team went home. Now tell me that that isn't some unbelievable and inspirational shit. And Konami's corporate wanted to discredit him so bad for absolutely no reason. They didn't even want to put his name in the credits. They wanted to hire someone above him to take all the credit for his work. Fucking bullshit. Okay, here's a quick summary of the story. Our protagonist, James Sunderland, arrives in the town of Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his wife, Mary. But there's only one little problem with that. She kinda suffered from a terminal illness and died 3 years ago. The letter says that Mary is waiting for him in their special place. Along the way, he enters a graveyard and we meet Angela Orozco, who is apparently looking for her missing mother, brother, and father. She gives James a warning that something is wrong with the town and that it might be dangerous. But despite her warnings, Big James says he gives no fucks and progresses onward as he has nothing to lose. As he makes it to town, he realizes that things are a little different. It's not quite the same beautiful town that he remembers. Here, we are met with our first enemy, and James, without hesitation, grabs the nearest weapon and gives it a good old smacking. When he discovers that the path to his first destination, Rosewater Park, is blocked, James decides to pass through an apartment complex to reach what he believes is their special place. He makes it to the apartments, meets this annoying kid Laura and this chunky boy Eddie, and it's all weird. And yeah, at Rosewater he sees a strange woman who looks an awful lot like our wife, Mary. Maria joins our party on our journey to the next suspected special place, Lakeview Hotel. You enter a bowling alley where you see Eddie yet again and also see the little girl as she runs away. Eddie tells you her name is Laura, and out of instinct, James follows her. You pass through Heaven's Night and see Laura enter Brookhaven Hospital. In here, Maria becomes a little sicky and rests on a bed. Laura locks you in a room with some lovely friends, and after defeating them, things look even worse somehow. James finds Maria in the basement and she is a little angry, but she gets over it. Pyramid Head then appears and gives Maria a big hug, and our protagonist is alone once again. James finds a key in Rosewater that opens the historical society, and it leads to Toluca Prison and a labyrinth in which Pyramid Head is waiting to give you a big smooch. In here, we see that Maria is doing well. Wait a second. Aren't you supposed to be dead? You silly goose. But she's locked in a cell and proceeds to gaslight James and reassures him that she is indeed real. From an article, we are enlightened to figure out that Angela killed her father, who SA'd her and physically abused her while her mother let it happen. James finds Angela in a room with a strange monster called the Abstract Daddy, which represents some pretty messed up stuff. Angela beats the shit out of the monster, and rightfully so, and expresses her distrust in James and just for men in particular, which makes a lot of sense. She also says that James didn't want Mary around anymore before she leaves. As he enters the cell, he sees her dead body lying on the bed. At the end of the labyrinth, we see Blue Boy, aka Blue Balls, aka Chris Griffin, aka Eddie, who has apparently been on a rampage-filled murder spree because people called him fat. It's revealed that he killed a dog and shot the owner's leg. Seems like a pretty nice guy, right? James proceeds to make the grave error of asking Eddie if he wants these nuts, pushing Tubby Man over the edge and starting your rival battle. After killing Eddie, James is like, damn. But he makes his way to their supposed special place, or Lakeview Hotel. We find Laura in the hotel's dining area, and she gives James a letter, revealing that Mary wanted to adopt Laura and that she actually spent the last year with her. We then play a tape that shows James suffocating his ill wife with a pillow. He is then swallowed by guilt, and Laura is livid, so she leaves. We see Angela on a burning staircase and flesh stitched on a frame, representing her father and brother. She politely asks for her knife back, but James respectfully declines. So she starts walking up the stairs, and James says that it's hot as hell, and she says, for me it's always like this, meaning that her life has always been a living hell. As she walks out of sight, it is only left to interpretation that she unalives herself off screen. Some pretty dark stuff, I know. James faces his guilt and then goes through a long hallway. As you make your way up, you then fight your dead wife, and the game comes to a close. Okay, woo! We made it. Good job, little fella. Here's a treat. Alright, there are 3 endings available to you on your first playthrough, and they are all tailored by the actions and decisions that the player makes. The leave ending is definitely the least depressing one. The game ends as James and Laura leave together as they walk through the graveyard, and I like to think that James fulfills Mary's wish to adopt Laura. And I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to briefly talk about Laura.
Huh, you're just a gutless fatso.
Laura is an 8-year-old girl who is also on the search for James's wife, Mary, but she was not aware of her death because she didn't understand what Mary meant by "I'm far away now, in a quiet place, a beautiful place," not knowing that she meant an afterlife, but thought it was Silent Hill. I get those mixed up all the time. She is the only character that is technically entirely innocent, even though she can be a real pain in the ass. Her heart holds no real darkness. She sees no monsters in Silent Hill or any of the abnormalities that James sees. I haven't mentioned it yet, but all of the monsters are manifestations of James's feelings and desires. For example, the bubblehead nurses represent James' sexual frustration while his wife was bedridden. Pyramid Head is James's projection of his desire for punishment or prosecution, hence why Pyramid Head looks like an executioner. And the mannequin is literally just 2 pairs of legs. Also, the Abstract Daddy enemy doesn't look the same to Angela as how it does to James, meaning that she saw something far more sinister. Pretty fucked up, huh? The next ending is called In Water. James and Mary have a final talk. He hops in the whip, steps on the gas, and drives straight into Toluca Lake. This is commonly seen as the canonical ending. Masahiro Ito confirmed that there is no canon ending, and all endings are left ambiguous for the players to decide, which I love so fucking much. It gives the story even more depth and substance. The third ending is called the Maria ending, because James leaves Silent Hill with his manifestation of Mary, Maria. You better get that cough figured out. This ending shows that James learned nothing from the events of Silent Hill and settles with Maria. The final ending, other than the dog and UFO endings, which are totally canon by the way, James puts Mary's body into a boat and rows across Toluca Lake to the Church of Rebirth. and is gonna attempt to awaken the old gods of Silent Hill in order to resurrect her, putting a spotlight on his desperation. But it also shows that James acknowledges the magic of the town. Okay, so where does Eddie fit into all this? Eddie represents the killer side of James's mind. In James's final encounter with Eddie, Eddie is now infatuated and embraces the idea of murdering anyone who makes fun of him. In Eddie's final lines, he says that,
"Don't get all holy on me, James. This town called you too. You and me are the same. We're not like other people. Don't you know that?"
because they are both in Silent Hill for murder. After defeating Eddie, James questions himself and asks,
Mary, did you really die 3 years ago?
showing that deep down he realized that he killed Mary, but continued to live in the illusions of Silent Hill until seeing the tape for himself. The story of Silent Hill took heavy inspiration from the Russian novel Crime and Punishment. Some of the game's artistic styles come from film directors such as David Lynch and Adrian Lyne, and takes big influence from the film Jacob's Ladder, and various artwork done by Francis Bacon and Andrew Wyeth. Ito Masahiro himself said that he referred to films such as Blue Velvet, Lost Highway, A Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, various works of Alejandro Jodorowsky, and various films from Chris Cunningham. I love how this game explores a plethora of dark themes and topics, and isn't scared to shine light on them, and not in a glamorous way either. And Silent Hill 2 is by no means a perfect game, but what it's able to convey and make you feel is priceless. Yes, sometimes the camera sucks, and some of the puzzles are and the combat can be pretty sneaky too, but the story fills in any technical issues with it. I just wanted to brush over this game because even 20 years later, people still need to talk about it. There is really no other experience like it. Hopefully the remake is good, unlike the HD collection. Let me know your opinions and maybe even your own theories in the comments below, and if you could leave a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It helps me more than you know. And with that being said, Silent Hill is a masterpiece, and yeah, love ya, bye!
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you. Waiting for you to come to see me. But you never do. And so I wait, wrapped in my cocoon of pain and loneliness. I know I've done a terrible thing to you. Something you'll never forgive me for. I wish I could change that. But I can't. I feel so pathetic and ugly laying here, waiting for you. Every day I stare up at the cracks in the ceiling, and all I can think about is how unfair it all is. The doctor came today. He told me I could go home for a short stay. It's not that I'm getting better. It's just that this may be my last chance. I think you know what I mean. Even so, I'm glad to be coming home. I've missed you terribly. But I'm afraid, James. I'm afraid you don't really want me to come home. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. I don't know if you hate me or pity me, or maybe I just disgust you. I'm sorry about that. When I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. I was so angry all the time, and I struck out at everyone I loved most. Especially you, James. That's why I understand if you do hate me. But I want you to know this, James. I'll always love you. Even though our life together had to end like this, I still wouldn't trade it for the world. We had some wonderful years together. Well, this letter has gone on too long, so I'll say goodbye. I told the nurse to give this to you after I'm gone. That means that as you read this, I'm already dead. I can't tell you to remember me, but I can't bear for you to forget me. These last few years since I became ill, I am so sorry for what I did to you, did to us. You've given me so much, and I haven't been able to return a single thing. That's why I want you to live for yourself now. Do what's best for you, James. James, you made me happy.